Hey everyone, and welcome to another quick tip video by Rob of Game Dev Journey. This is what the finished dash mechanic will look like. A lot of games make use of this rapid acceleration when moving, and I thought that I'd show you one way of implementing this in Construct 3. You'll see I've just got a player here who can move right and left and jump. This is basically just the platform behavior. I haven't added anything else. So if we go and have a look at him, the only behavior he has is platform. But we are going to add two new behaviors. For the dash, we need a timer to time the dash, and we need the bullet behavior. So add those two, so we have a platform, timer, and bullet. Right, now let's make sure that bullet is not enabled initially, and we can turn the angle off. We won't need that. Everything else is default. If we go to the event sheet, we need a global variable called can dash, which is a boolean, which is initially true. This will decide whether we are able to dash or not. In other words, are we in cooldown or not? Then we also need another variable to keep track whether we are currently dashing or not. And that one will be false because we're not dashing at the moment. Right. Then what we'll do is, if we're pressing left on the keyboard and we're not dashing, let's add a condition here, and that'll be system boolean dashing, and we'll invert it. So if we are pressing left and we're not dashing, then we do just our normal left animation. Same thing for right. If we are pressing right and we are not dashing currently, then we just play our normal animation. So that won't change anything. When we release any key, of course we're not pressing any keys, we're idling. Now, space is going to be our dash key, but it could be anything you like. So when you're pressing space and you can dash, so can dash is true, right? Then we should immediately set can dash to false because we've just dashed. We are currently dashing, so we will set dashing to true. So these two values just invert basically. Then we should start the timer on the player. So we'll go to the player and start the timer. And this timer decides how long between dashes. So let's say you have to wait 2 seconds before you can dash again. So you can't just spam dash. And we can call this dash cooldown. And what we're going to do is we'll then enable the bullet behavior on the player, so the player turns into a bullet basically, and how far you go, how far you dash, is determined by how long you allow the bullet behavior to be enabled. So we'll set another timer and we'll give this one, say, 0.2 seconds, and this is how long you're in bullet mode or dash mode, so we'll call this bullet timer. And we can also set the angle of motion of the bullet to the right to start off. So we'll set angle of motion to 0. 0 is pointing to the right, 180 is pointing to the left. So there we go. Now we need to add the cooldown timer. So when the timer goes off, so when our dash cooldown timer has elapsed, so we called it, what did we call it? dash cooldown. Dash cooldown. So when the dash cooldown timer has elapsed, in other words, we've reached 2 seconds, we can now set can dash to true again. So we can now set can dash back to true. Okay, because it was set to false over there, and we start timing 2 seconds. Once 2 seconds is reached, we allow dashing to be possible again. Now on our other timer, the bullet timer, so we'll go down to our timer. On our bullet timer, we are going to disable the bullet, because now we've been a bullet for 0.2 seconds, so we will now disable it. And we will also turn dashing off, because now that we've stopped being a bullet, stopped dashing, we must turn the bullet behavior off. So bullet is now disabled. That's the end of the dash. Right. Oh, I've just done that. Sorry. Let's delete that. So once we've finished being a bullet, we want to turn dashing off. So set dashing to false. Here we go. Now, just so we can see what's going on, I've got a few text boxes on the screen here. This is your angle of motion, so you can see that 0 is to the right, 180 is to the left. This is your can dash. 1 will be true, you can dash. 0 will be false, you can't dash. And this is dashing. Are we currently dashing? 0 or 1 for true. So let's turn those, make those visible. So let's say on every tick, we are going to set the angle of motion. So we'll say angle of motion, and this will be the player dot the bullet dot angle of motion, and then we'll have our can dash, which will be can dash, and this will be the can dash variable, and then we'll have our currently dashing. Dashing, and this will be our dashing variable. Okay, that'll just give us some output on what the angle is. Can we dash at the moment, and are we dashing at the moment? Right, now I've got separate animations for when we're dashing, so I just want to set those up. So I want to add a keyboard event that when the key is down, and this will be the right arrow. So we already use right arrow over here for playing the right animation, but I've got a separate animation for when I dash to the right. So I'm going to have two conditions: when the right key is down and I'm currently dashing. So I'm going to have another condition here that says I am dashing. So if the right key is down and I'm dashing, then I want to set my animation to right dash. And I want to set my angle of motion, my bullet angle of motion, to 0, which is to the right. Now I'm just going to copy this because it's basically the same for left arrow. It's going to be the left arrow and dashing. My animation will now be left dash, but my angle of motion will be 180 degrees. So that's to the left. And that should be our dash mechanic. Let's test it. So when I move right, he looks right, left, he moves left. This is not dashing. You can see when I dash, the angle of motion is 0 to the right, and I dash, it's 180 to the left. Can dash becomes 1 when that 2-second countdown has elapsed, and I'm allowed to dash. And dashing is 0 if I'm not dashing, and 1 while I'm dashing. So that's a nice little dash effect for your games. I hope you found this useful. See you again next time. Game Dev Journey.